It's Tuesday. That means it's time for another top 10 video. This time, I'm going to be doing one of your requests, which was top 10 magic items for each Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition class. So first up on the list, Barbarian. If you want to see what magic items I think Barbarians need, stay tuned. A few things up front to just get out of the way. We're not going to be doing any consumables like potions or scrolls. We're also going to avoid any legendary items, and we're also going to avoid any of the books. And for that, I mean any of the manuals or tomes that you can read that give you a +2 to a stat. Every class can make use of all of those things. So we're excluding all of those, and then we're going to just talk about actual just specific items for the most part that are pertinent to all of the classes, but again, Barbarian. Here we go. Number 10. Number 10 is kind of a cop-out answer, and it's the Ring of Psychic Resistance. This one's the only real specific one on the entire list, but that is tied to the Bear Totem Barbarian. They are given, through their special ability at level 3, resistance to all types of damage except for psychic. So if you were to obtain a Ring of Psychic Resistance, you would be, as a Bear Totem Barbarian, resistant to every type of damage that could be dealt to you in the game, therefore increasing your survivability by literal half, I guess, if you think about it that way. Number 9. Number 9 is the Belt of Giant Strength, and I actually struggled a lot putting this on the list because I don't like giving these items specifically to a Barbarian, as I feel like it sort of negates the Capstone ability, which, if you don't know, a level 20 Barbarian gets to add +4 to their Strength and Constitution. Yes, I already hear what you're saying. How many games get to level 20? And you make a good point. You won't typically be able to get this. The only reason I don't particularly like the Belts of Strength, don't get me wrong, if I was playing a Barbarian or any strength-based character and you gave me one, I would take it, and I would take it graciously. But what they do is they set your strength to a given number. And there are 6 different variations, although 2 of them are the same. The rare one is the Hill Giant Strength, which makes your strength score 21. Frost and Stone make it a 23. Fire makes it 25. Cloud makes it 27. And Storm Giant Strength makes it 29. Those are, again, Cloud and Storm are legendary, so they're kind of omitted from this specifically. I guess I should also have said the Ring of Resistance was attunement, as is the Belt of Giant Strength. You're going to see that a lot of these are going to be attunement, so you'd have to make your choice about which one you'd want to use or which 3 you'd want to use. But the downside of it is there's no point in you raising your strength score basically beyond that, because it's always going to be like, if your strength score is a 16, you get a Belt of Fire Giant Strength and it now becomes a 25. If you raise your strength score from a 15 to a 17, your strength score is still going to be 25. So theoretically, as long as you maintain that belt, you will forever have that. But if your DM is cruel or a scenario sets it up and they steal that item from you, then your strength is back to whatever it was originally, and you're not nearly as viable in combat as you once were. But even still, for most games, you're never going to hit level 20, so this is still a useful item. Number 8. Number 8 is Bracers of Defense. Again, I feel this is a common one that a lot of people give to Barbarians. It is attunement, and basically, as long as you're not wearing armor or using a shield, you get a +2 bonus to your AC. I should also point out that Barbarians can use a shield, and they can wear medium armor. And just because you have the idea in your head that all Barbarians shouldn't wear armor doesn't mean that's the case. I've played in a fair few games where the Barbarian rolled really low stats, and they were looking for Bracers of Defense to boost their AC from like an 11 to a 13, when had they just went out and bought like a set of medium armor, like a breastplate, their AC would already be higher than it would have been with the bracers. So I just want to say, don't discourage the idea of your Barbarian using a one-handed weapon and a shield or wearing armor. There's no benefits to a Barbarian wielding a two-handed weapon over a one-handed weapon other than just the damage die. So you can feel free to do that. But if you are going to go with the no armor, no shield Barbarian, Bracers of Defense is going to be one of the best ways for you to boost your AC even higher. And this does stack and add on in addition to your unarmored defense of combining your dexterity and your constitution. Number 7. Number 7 is Cape of the Montebank. As a barbarian, you do have slightly improved movement speed and having an additional 10 feet added to your movement, but two of your biggest detractors, as 9 times out of 10 you are a melee focused fighter fighting in close quarters combat, things that prevent you from doing that are your biggest detractor. Flying enemies and enemies that fight you at range, and you can't physically get to them before they either damage you significantly, take out your party, or down you. So the Cape of the Montebank is your one-time non-attunement use, once per long rest use, of the Dimension Door spell. Dimension Door teleports you a range of 500 feet in a direction. You don't even need to see where you want to go. You can just say 500 feet up, 500 feet that way, whatever the case you want to do. But if you come onto a battlefield and there's an enemy across the way and you want to get to them, yes, it is your action to do so, but you could Dimension Door right next to them and then rage, or rage and then Dimension Door next to them, in hopes that they will hit you or you'll be able to hit them to keep your rage up. But any kind of gap closing or, long range capability or movement you can get as a barbarian is going to be your friend. Because if you're not hitting people, and you could be, you're not doing what you should be doing as a barbarian. Number 6. And speaking of not being able to hit people at range, number 6 is the Javelin of Lightning. This is a non-attunement magic item. It's one of the only kind of long-range items that isn't a bow, and is just the weapon is its own projectile. So the Javelin of Lightning, basically when you throw it, you can transform it into a bolt of lightning. It flies out in a line in 5 feet out to a point within 120 feet. Each creature in that line of the lightning bolt must make a DC 13 dex save or take 46 lightning damage on a failed save, half on a success. It turns back into a javelin when it reaches the target. You make a melee weapon attack against the target, and on a hit, the target takes the damage from the javelin plus 46 lightning damage. So a thrown javelin is a d6 plus your strength modifier. You're going to make the thrown attack at that creature out to 120 feet. You do that, you hit them, they take that plus 46 lightning damage, plus everyone in the line takes the lightning damage as well. It can't be used until the next dawn, but it can still be wielded as a magic javelin in the meantime, so it does give you a magic weapon. Again, any strength-based character is going to want to have a Javelin of Lightning if they can get their hands on one. It's just a good kind of one-time combat use to just get some burst damage and maybe a little bit of AoE. Again, something barbarians are not really known to have. Number 5. So number 5 is, again, if you do decide to go into the realm of being the two-handed wielding Conan-style barbarian, where you're not wearing armor, you're not using a shield, and you're using a big two-handed weapon, then the animated shield, which is number 5, may be for you. It is a very rare item. It requires attunement. And while holding this shield, you can speak its command word as a bonus action to animate it. The shield leaps into the air and hovers in your space to protect you as if you were wielding it, leaving your hands free. It remains animated for 1 minute, or until you use a bonus action to end that effect, or until you're incapacitated or die, at which point it falls to the ground or into your hand if you have a free one. Shield is made from wood or metal and is carried in one hand. Oh, that's just the normal shield stuff. So the way you would want to use an animated shield, so an animated shield is very rare. And bracers of the defense are only rare. So if you can get yourself on your hands on a bracers of defense, you can use those to get the +2 AC and still wield your two-handed weapon. However, if you're in a scenario where I talked about before, where let's say you're wearing armor and wielding a two-handed weapon, you can't benefit from bracers of defense and wear armor, but you can wear bracers of defense and use a shield and still wield a two-handed weapon if you have the animated shield. So you're wearing whatever magic armor or base armor you have, you get an animated shield, it bumps your AC up by 2, you're still getting all of those boosts, and you can still wield your two-handed weapon. Again, if you have high enough stats where you don't need to wear armor or use a shield at all, then bracers of defense are for you, but this may be a way for you to get boosted AC without having to have stellar dexterity and constitution. Number 4. So number 4 is the biggest cop-out on this whole list, and it's a magic weapon. You're a barbarian, you're going to be hitting stuff with a weapon. You need a magic weapon. Eventually, a lot of creatures have resistance to magic, or to have resistance to damage, bludgeoning, piercing, slashing from from weapons that are not considered magic or not considered silver. I highly recommend, if you can get your weapons silvered early on, you do so. But later on, it's going to be magic resistance, so you're going to want to have that magic weapon. Now, I didn't pick a specific weapon for a barbarian because you get your boosted damage. It's going to want to be a strength-based weapon because you're going to get your strength boost from your rage damage if it's a melee strength-based weapon. But you don't have anything like super specific. So, like, for instance, a paladin would want the ability to do more attacks in a turn, since eventually they get extra damage with their improved Divine Smite. A fighter gets a whole bunch of attacks, so they're going to want something that does extra damage because they're going to get the chance to hit things more often, so the more dice they get to roll, the more damage they're going to do. You still really only get 2 attacks unless you'd go Frenzied Barbarian and choose to take a level of exhaustion. So you're just going to want something that's going to do damage, that's strength-based, that's going to allow you to keep doing more damage. You could easily benefit from something as simple as a +1, +2, or +3 weapon, or a Flame Tongue, or a Frost Brand, or what have you. Those would all do excellent damage. I'm a big fan of some simple-based magic weapon and then a dancing sword, like a dancing greatsword, for example, because as a barbarian, outside of raging, depending on the class, you don't have a lot of use for your bonus action. So if you get a dancing sword, which is a magic sword that you can command to attack on your bonus action, that does use your strength and your strength modifier for attacking and your strength modifier for damaging. So if you are a high enough level barbarian, you have a higher than 20 strength, or if you do have one of those belts of giant strength that we spoke about, that could be a huge benefit to you as well, and it gets you something to do with your bonus action. So and there's no reason you couldn't pick up your dancing sword and swing with it and hit something with it, but not activate the dancing capabilities of it. Number 3. Number 3 is a Cloak of Displacement. It's one of my favorite magic items in existence. It's attunement, it's rare. It's made from Displacer Beast skin, and when you wear it, you project an illusion of yourself appearing to be standing next to you, causing any creature to have disadvantage on attack rolls against you. If you take damage, the property ceases to function until the start of your next turn, and it ends if you're incapacitated or anything. But the reason I really like this for a barbarian is one of the common things a barbarian will do is swing recklessly or attack recklessly, getting advantage on their attack rolls, but giving the opponent advantage on their attack rolls against them. The Cloak of Displacement offsets that advantage. Therefore, you still get to attack with advantage, and your opponent gets to attack you with a straight roll as they normally would. And then again, if you're in combat and you're not attacking recklessly, and you're just choosing to attack normally, your opponents have disadvantage on attack rolls against you, which is only a huge benefit. So this is a twofold thing. It can offset some of the negative side of the reckless attack, but it can also just make you more resistant normally. Number 2. Number 2 is the Belt of Dwarvenkind. This is another one of my favorite magic items, and it really shines on I was going to say sings, it really shines on a barbarian. So it's rare, it does require attunement, but what's interesting is it gives you a bonus to your Constitution score. It doesn't set your Constitution score to a number like the Belt of Giant Strength. It increases your Constitution score by 2 to a maximum of 20. So this could still benefit from your level 20 Barbarian Capstone, where you have an 18 con, you don this belt, it pushes you to 20, then your Constitution scores increases by 4, and so does the maximum, giving you that 24 if you happen to have it at the capstone. But one of the other reasons I like it is it provides a bunch of really great resistances and other useful things for non-bear totem barbarians. So if you're a bear totem barbarian, you're going to get resistance to poison damage normally, so there's not a huge benefit there for you other than the boosted constitution. But let's go through it. So boost your con by 2 to a maximum of 20. Advantage on persuasion checks to interact with dwarves. That may or may not be important based on your campaign. While you're tuned, you have a 50% chance each day at dawn to grow a full beard if you're capable of growing one, or a visibly thicker one if you already have one. And if you aren't a dwarf, you gain the following benefits, because it really shines if it's not on a dwarf. Advantage on saving throws against poison and resistance to poison damage, dark vision out to 60 feet, and you can speak, read, and write Dwarvish. So for your human non-bear totem barbarian, this is huge. You just got yourself dark vision, you got yourself an extra free language possibly, advantage on saving throws against poison or poison damage, which also means stout halfling barbarians this isn't as useful on, and it gave you the bonus to your constitution and the situational persuasion check to interact with dwarves. So this is giving you, you'll have resistances from your rage ability that you already have when you activate rage. Now you have another resistance that's on as long as you wear the belt. You potentially gain dark vision. My only small little nitpick with this item is if you already have dark vision, it doesn't extend your dark vision any further. It still stays at 60. And obviously if you already speak Dwarven, then that part of it is lost on you as well. But I still think this is a really solid item for any barbarian. Again, it really shines on a any barbarian that doesn't have resistance to poison damage, particularly one that doesn't have dark vision, and definitely it doesn't really work as well on a dwarf barbarian, though you could wield it just for the increased constitution. But I think it's well worth your attunement slot. Number 1. Lastly, number 1 is Winged Boots. Winged Boots are an uncommon magic item that requires attunement, but as I said earlier, if you're a barbarian and you're not hitting stuff, then you're not doing your job. Winged Boots give you increased movement speed. They don't give you increased movement speed. They give you a flying speed equal to your walking speed. You can use the boots to fly for up to 4 hours, all at once or in several shorter flights, each one using a minimum of 1 minute of the duration. If you're flying when the duration ends, you descend at a rate of 30 feet per round until you land, so you can't really fall and hurt yourself that way. You regain 2 hours of flying capability for every 12 hours that aren't in use. You, as a barbarian, already have increased movement speed just for being a barbarian, and that's going to match that. So your winged boots give you extra movement speed. So you can fly up to those annoying flying enemies that are trying to fly away or pepper your party from a distance. You can fly right up into their face. Another thing that could be considered here would also be the Wings of Flying, a rare attunement item, which is a cloak. When you do so, bat wings sprout from your back for only 1 hour, giving you a fly speed of 60 feet. The downside of that is it's only 1 hour and it takes 1d12 hours for them to grow back, which is why I didn't go with Wings of Flying. I went with Winged Boots instead because it's a longer term thing. So anyway, guys, that's my top 10 magic items for barbarians. Let me know what you think. I'm sure people are going to have disagreements and really hate the fact that I just said a magic weapon for number 4. But let me know what you guys think. Let me see your top 10 list of magic items for barbarians. I'm trying to avoid homebrew and that kind of stuff as well, because obviously there's a ton of great homebrew magic items out there. I've come up with a fair few in my own campaigns, but I would just try to stick with what everybody has access to, which is largely just the Dungeon Master's Guide. So if you like this video and you want to see more, be sure to like the video down below and subscribe to the channel to stay up to date on more D&D Nerd Immersion content. I also do stream every Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday evening, and occasionally we have games running on Sunday as well. So if you want to head over to the Twitch channel, there's a link in the description below if you'd like to check that out as well. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.